coming up on TPI.
You've talked about how you were shipped out to Ghana at a certain stage in your life.
Well, I was drowning in depression and to the point of starting to have suicidal ideations. Like it was getting worse and worse. The straw that broke the camel's back was when I got arrested for shoplifting.
Well, hello and welcome to TPI, where real stories meet real faith. I'm your host, Niiella. I am so pumped you are hanging out with me today. If you're watching on YouTube or scrolling through Facebook, drop a comment and let us know how TPI is impacting your life. Your feedback doesn't just make our day, it actually helps us to know how to better serve and bless you. Honestly, your words inspire us more than you would know. In today's episode, we're in Brazil, a country known for its vibrant culture and deep spiritual roots. But there's a new wave rising. Evangelical churches are growing at a remarkable pace, challenging long-held traditions. Senior reporter George Thomas brings us the story.
In the heart of Brazil, amidst the rhythmic beats of samba and the vibrant colors of carnival, something spiritually profound is unfolding.
We are on the verge of a religious change in Brazil.
Sociologist Jose Alves tells CBN News that if there's one image that symbolizes Catholicism's influence here, it's Rio de Janeiro's 98-foot-tall Christ the Redeemer. Inaugurated in 1931, the iconic statue celebrated the country's rich Catholic heritage. 94 years later, Alves says the faith's dominance is rapidly declining.
In 1950, 93% of Brazilians identified as Catholics. The church was losing about 1% of followers every decade. However, from 1991 onwards, the Catholic Church started to lose 1% of followers every year, resulting in a dramatic drop.
Evangelical Christianity, once a minority faith here, is now growing at unprecedented levels.
What you're looking at there on your screen is this beautiful blue structure known as the Cathedral of Brasilia. It is one of the largest Catholic churches here in Brazil's capital city. The surveys show that what was once the world's largest Catholic nation will by 2030 be overwhelmingly evangelical.
Signs of this growth are everywhere. Megachurches dotting the landscape, filled with thousands of worshippers each week. From Andrea Fernandez's church in Sao Paulo,
we are living in the fulfillment of a promise. For many decades, we have heard that Brazil would experience a wave of revival that would be exported around the world. And I believe that this is what we are experiencing at this moment.
To Lurival Pereira's congregation in the Amazon region, boasting more than 10,000 members across some 600 cell groups.
The foundation of our growth is these cells. The real revival is taking place outside the church walls. Every day, people are meeting in small groups in homes. It's the biblical model.
To J.B. Carvalho's church in the capital city of Brasilia.
We started the church in 2003 with only 25 people. Today, we have about 12,000 people in Brasilia alone. We also have another 15,000 people in Fortaleza. Our churches are spread throughout Brazil.
To Silas Malafais's church in Rio de Janeiro, one of the largest and most influential Pentecostal churches in Brazil, with more than 100,000 members.
In the next 7 years or so, we will be the majority in the country. Today, we make up about 35% of the population, and God's kingdom has influence in every corner of Brazilian society.
Marcelo Crivella, a well-known evangelical pastor turned politician, once served as mayor of Rio de Janeiro. He says that years ago, evangelical Christians hesitated to get involved in politics, but that's no longer the case. More than 30% of the country's legislators are now evangelical.
We are more than 140 deputies and more than 20 senators.
Many of them gather each Wednesday in the halls of Brazil's Congress for worship and prayer. The country's first evangelical church opened in 1922. By 1990, that number had grown to more than 7,000 congregations. Nearly 30 years later, it grew to over 109,000. The growth so staggering that one study found 70 new evangelical churches opening every day across Brazil.
Now in Brazil, 550,000 churches.
Azanete Rodriguez says this dramatic transformation began, as in many great movements, with the most profound of practices, prayer.
I've always believed that prayer is like planting. You plant, 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 and at some point it will sprout, and then the explosion will come.
Those who have been tracking the explosive growth of the evangelical movement here in Brazil say worship has played a monumental role in the church's growth. And one Christian artist, above all, has been at the center of it all.
Her name is Ana Paula Valadão.
Even growing up, I had glimpses of crowds, of multitudes worshiping the Lord.
From the late 1990s to the early 2000s, her group's music became synonymous with a powerful worship movement that emphasized intimacy with God, passionate worship, and personal revival.
As I was songwriting, the Lord always made me very intentional. And the whole idea was about transformation, was about changing the nations.
She held concerts in strategic locations, drawing millions of people, many of whom were Catholics.
Like the carnival site in Rio de Janeiro, and we filled every soccer stadium in this nation. Jesus broke every record, gathering more people than any soccer tournament.
Because of her songs, many Catholic services in Brazil today, like one CBN News attended in Sao Paulo, have embraced a more evangelistic style of worship, shifting away from traditional liturgies to incorporate contemporary music. Father Antonio Luis Ferreira, who leads the Cathedral of São Sebastião in Rio de Janeiro, says the change is part of an effort to encourage former Catholics to come home.
People are attracted to environments where worship celebrations and moments of prayer are done in a more charismatic way. Today, a growing number of Catholics are returning precisely because prayer meetings are conducted in a more Pentecostal style.
Still, for Brazil's Catholic majority, the question is no longer whether they will lose their dominance, but how quickly. The answer? Probably faster than anyone ever expected.
It's truly inspiring to see how faith is flourishing across Brazil. However, God's power isn't confined to one place. No matter where you are in the world, you can experience His presence because spiritual hunger knows no borders. Please don't go anywhere, because after the break, I'll be sharing with you the story of a man tormented by tragedy he can't fully remember. Find out how he was able to reclaim his life after this.
I was just desperately praying, God, would you please help me? Would you please help me to get free from this? So I was like, I can't remember, so I can't fully forgive.
Your Turning Point experience doesn't have to end when the program is over. Follow us on your favorite social media.
Welcome back. The man in our next story was haunted by a tragic moment deep in his past. While the pain was real, his memory of what happened was unclear. How do you begin to heal from something you can't even name? Let's take a look.
I had reached a level of success I had never known in my life. There was this apathy that overtook my life when it came to my work.
At 55 years old, Steve Supay was in great shape. and had a life most others would envy. He was reading through his journal when an entry from a few months before caught his attention. In that entry was a memory from Steve's childhood. At 7 years old, he'd attempted suicide twice and didn't know why.
I was very happy, super grateful, but I couldn't seem to get past why I was suicidal at the age of 7.
Steve met with an advisor and discussed his difficult childhood.
My mom was the one who ruled the house with an iron fist. She would literally provoke my dad to anger to get him to beat us. Tyrannical. It was a very abusive situation in a lot of ways.
The two prayed and meditated, asking God for answers.
And in that, 2 shadowy memories came back. One was being led down a hall by my hand as a 3-year-old child. And then the other was about the same age of where I was fighting to keep my clothes on. And so I believe that in that moment, God showed me that I was sexually molested by my mother.
Steve knew to move past the trauma, he had to forgive his mother, but he couldn't reconcile the gaps in his memories.
One of the biggest hang-ups I had with trying to forgive was the fact that I couldn't remember everything. How can you fully forgive if you don't know what happened? I was being tormented by my inability to forgive.
Despite the prayers of Steve, his wife, and close friends, he couldn't move past the hurt and anger. He even worked through a book on healing abuse and wrote down the things he could remember, hoping to break the cycle.
I was just desperately praying, God, would you please help me? Would you please help me to get free from this? So I was like, I can't remember, so I can't fully forgive. It wasn't an unwillingness to forgive. It was a struggle of how do I forgive?
Steve had been wrestling with this unforgiveness for 5 months when he went for a routine physical.
She's checking me all out, ears, throat, all this stuff, and she starts checking my heart rate, and she's like, you need to go to the emergency room right now. You're an AFib.
Instead of going to the ER, Steve got a second opinion and was told he should undergo a procedure to correct the problem. Steve was doubtful it would help.
I knew it wasn't going to work because I knew my heart wasn't healed. When I was diagnosed with AFib, I was praying, and I felt like the Lord spoke to me and said, Steve, I'm going to heal your physical heart when your spiritual heart is healed.
Steve underwent the recommended procedure and then another a month later. Neither corrected the problem. Desperate, Steve asked his friend Reuben, a pastor, to come and pray with him. Steve told him what he remembered about the trauma, and Reuben explained that remembering everything wasn't the key to forgiveness.
It was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. God can give you the grace to forgive. And that was very freeing. He prayed over me, anointed me with oil. He said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go home. I want you to read it. I want you to forgive everything, line by line, and then I want you to put it in the fireplace and burn it. So that's what I did. It was a conscious decision to forgive my mom at that point.
Finally, a breakthrough.
I really just felt like God met me and gave me the grace to just fully forgive and just let it go. It was a tremendous relief. I really felt a lot of release and a lot of peace.
Afterwards, Steve spent several hours alone with God in worship and prayer.
The presence of God in the room was so strong. If I had opened my eyes and saw the Lord sitting there, I would have not been surprised because it was just so heavy in the room. I felt spiritually healed. I had a lot more peace. I felt free for the first time in years. And I've been in normal sinus rhythm ever since.
Steve is back to enjoying a good run, and his heart is finally at rest.
Now I am free of it. And so I feel like I can be a better husband, a better father, a better Christian. Unforgiveness is only going to lead to death. If you're feeling guilt, shame, condemnation over things that you've gone through horrible experiences that have happened to you or that you have done yourself, God can forgive, and that shame doesn't need to be your master. I got free because God set me free.
Steve was right when he said, shame doesn't need to be your master. He's no longer bound by the past because God has set him free. What about you? Are you carrying wounds that needs healing? Is there something you need to forgive, but the pain feels too deep? Jesus offers grace to help you let go. The first step to freedom, though, begins with entering into a relationship with Jesus. You can do this by inviting him into your heart with a simple prayer. If you're ready to be free, just like Steve is, pray these words with me. Heavenly Father, I come to you confessing that I believe that your son Jesus died for me. Jesus, I believe you are the Son of God. Jesus, I believe you died and you rose again. Jesus, I believe you paid for my sins. And Jesus, I ask you to come into my heart today and give me a brand new start. Jesus, I declare that you are Lord. Amen. If you just prayed with me and want to learn more about what it means to have a personal relationship with Jesus, or if you need someone to pray with you, we're here. Send us a message on WhatsApp and someone from our team will connect with you personally. And for our viewers in the United States and Europe, you can call us directly using the numbers on the screen. Faith is a journey best shared. Let's walk with you. Now, don't go anywhere because after the break, we'll be joined in the studio by a young lady who shook our world in the UK and is now on a new journey in the USA. You don't want to miss a single moment.
Call us at 0300 140 0067 or visit cbneurope.com/TPI.
Welcome back. You may have first seen my next guest lighting up the stage on Sunday Best. Since then, she's been setting the gospel music world on fire with her dynamic vocals and prolific lyrics. I know you've been inspired by her and her journey, and she's here today. Welcome, Niiella.
Hi.
Hello. Fancy seeing you here, Londoner.
Yeah.
Niiella, we don't have much time, and you know we could go for 2 hours.
We really could.
What you're like, but you've had such a remarkable journey. Whatever chapter we decide to focus on, whether the teenage years or the TV years or now the motherhood years, if you were to describe your transformation in one sentence, what would it be?
I would say butterfly. It would be one word, and I would use the word butterfly.
Explain that.
Well, I think just looking at who I was, you know, like you said, we don't have time to go into all the things, but just looking at who I was from childhood to now, I feel like I've changed so much and evolved, literally like a butterfly. First as a caterpillar, and then it blossoms and it becomes this beautiful, you know, butterfly. And since I was young, I was obsessed with butterflies.
Oh, wow.
And I never knew why, and now I feel like I do, you know, because of how life has
I went
gone.
to a butterfly sanctuary just last week.
Really?
So, I loved it.
I don't actually like insects.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay, let's move on then. Ghana. You've talked about how you were shipped out to Ghana at a certain stage in your life. That moment of being shipped out to Ghana, how do you see that? How do you read that? How do you process that period?
Well, as much as at the time it was an awful experience because, you know, me and my siblings didn't want to be in Ghana. We thought we were going to go visit our dad and return to the UK. But, you know, our documents went missing. And then we basically ended up having to stay in Ghana for an extended period of time. The way I look at it now, I'm just grateful that my mum even did that. I know it's a crazy story, but I'm grateful that she took us out there because I really was losing myself.
So for those who are not familiar, give us a quick run through of the story of what Mummy did.
So, so at that time, I just dropped out of college. UK college, you know, which is like the latter part of high school here, I think. So I just dropped out of college because I was, every term my grades were just dipping. At that point in my life, I was like, I started to figure out, or I had been in quite a few relationships. I was like 17 or so, but I was drowning in depression and to the point of starting to have suicidal ideations. Like it was getting worse and worse. And I think my mum, being who she is, being prophetic, being a pastor and everything, probably just looked at me and just didn't know, like, was at her wit's end, you know? And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was when I got arrested for shoplifting. And I know, wild story. And that's like the craziest thing I ever did. And I think at that point she was like, what is happening to you? So she was like, we're gonna go visit your dad. You know, he was praying in Ghana for a little bit. So she was like, we're gonna go visit your dad. So I went to Ghana, and then when we got there, you know, typical African mum style. 2 weeks are over, we think, okay, we're about to return to the city, because it was like on a mountain, literally. It was on a prayer mountain, you know, like, yeah. And then we call her, we're like, oh, we're ready to come back now. And she says, if you don't find Jesus on that mountain, you're not coming back and I'm not coming to pick you. And we were like, what? So, you know, long story short, me and my older brother ran away from the mountain. It was just crazy. Like, I could do a whole movie on it. And then we ended up back in the city. And at that point, we didn't go back to the UK, but we all came to an agreement. Us, mum, we were like, don't send us anywhere we don't want to go. At least we'll stay in the city, but let's just all be cool. And everyone just chill. So we all chilled. And then eventually I ended up doing a competition in Ghana.
Let's talk about that competition of Stars of the Future. Now, Stars of the Future was a big break for you, but then you made a peculiar choice of route after it. You decided gospel, not the route that
mainstream.
was... Why? And looking back at that, what do you think?
So, because even though in my teenage years I was now questioning, you know, I grew up a pastor's kid, so always been in church and everything, but in my teens I started to question, you know, why do we do what we do? I have other friends that don't go to church, they look happier than me, you know? So I was like, what's the essence of us going to church this much? Especially like Monday, prayer meeting, Tuesday, ushers meeting, Wednesday, you know, all that. I was just like, I started to ask all these questions. And then when I ended up doing the competition, like the one genre of music or type of music that would lift me out of the depression, even if it was for some hours or some moments, was gospel or Christian music. So after the competition, when it came to me making a choice, I've always been a very, like, emotional, you know, even though I would hide it, very emotional, very sentimental person. So I had to do something that had meaning to me. And to be very honest, the other types of music, I just didn't connect to them. Even though I was like, oh, musically, they might be cool or whatever, it was Christian gospel music that would lift me out of that place. And so I was like, I want other people, young people, to feel God's love and feel like they can keep going the way that I would anytime I would listen to Christian music.
So if you had to finish this line, if not for Ghana, what would you say? If not for Ghana...
I don't know where I'd be right now. I don't know what path I would have taken.
Okay, so if you had to describe your teenage years with an emoji, what would the emoji be? Does it exist, or you have to create one?
No, I can see the exact one.
Okay, which one?
It's the one that's like sideways and it's melting. You know, it's like smiling, but it's melting.
Oh, I've never used that one. I'll have to find that one. So it's sideways and it's not a ghost.
No. It's yellow.
So, Niiella, our time is up, and I hope you would come back to London so we can at least have more time to talk. Because you see,
I'll be back.
These Americans just keep us locked up. 5 minutes talk, everything is finished. We can't talk anymore.
I didn't say that either. That was also him.
I'll be going home soon. But for you, one final thought for you now as a mother? What has this chapter in your life been introduced to your daughter done to your walk with God?
It's made me appreciate God more. Definitely just seeing how, even though she's my child, I feel like I also didn't have a hand in her creation. Like, She's her own person. She started to do her own little quirky things and like giggle and smile. You just see the switch. One day she wasn't smiling, the next she was. You know, one day she wasn't laughing and then the next she was figuring out how to laugh. Now she's trying to sit up at 3 months and go somewhere. So it's just so amazing to see, you know, God's creation for real, like just come to life. And this is one moment I couldn't see her, she was in my stomach, and now she's out and she's doing things. It's just so fascinating.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you again.
Thank you.
As Niiella gets ready to take the stage, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and you can rewatch your favorite segment anytime. Follow us on our platforms to join the TPI community and stay inspired. We love hearing from you. Well, we've come to the end of the show, but we're sending you off on a high note with the phenomenal Niiella, and she's closing us out with her song Goodness and Mercy, a performance that will surely lift your spirit. From all of us here at TPI, until next time, goodbye and God bless you.
This right here is a benediction song, and it says, goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. It goes like this. My cup overflows. You anoint my head with oil. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Joy overflows. Your rod and staff, they guide me, so I will not fear any evil, for you are with me. Oh, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life forever. Surely, hey, goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life forever. Oh, just put your hands together like this. Woo. Goodness and mercy, hey, will follow me. Yes. We'll take that second half again. Joy overflows. Your rod and staff, they guide me, so I will not fear any evil. For you are